What's going on, y'all? Off the cuff here. Appreciate you guys tuning in for another video. So, I finally got my hands on the full game, and it's what I expected it to be. It's not as buggy or glitchy as Battlefield 4, and you can actually find matches. The servers actually work. They're more or less stable. It could be better, but it's workable. It actually performs the task that it should, and it doesn't drop the game. It doesn't kick you out of the game nearly as much as some of the other Battlefield titles. So at least it's more stable than previous in the series or in the franchise. But I wanted to go over just my first impressions of the game. And if anyone's on the fence about it, I wanted to at least throw out my 2 cents and see if this helps you guys make a decision as to whether or not you should purchase this game now or wait until whenever the full release actually comes out, because it's in its early mode right now. It's early access, or if you just stay away from it completely. So with that being said, here we go. So I made a couple of notes between the beta versus the actual release, and make no mistake, this is the game. This is going to be the game for the foreseeable future. The game is not going to magically change by Friday. It's just not going to, and if you believe that, there's no hope for you. I can't help you. This is what the game is going to be for the next month, 2 months, probably up until the launch of Season 1, and I went on the Battlefield website to see when that actually is, when they're going to be adding more content into the game, and that's going to be right around February of next year. So this is what we're going to be stuck with, essentially, for the next couple of months, and you have the choice between this, Halo Infinite, and Call of Duty Vanguard. And if you didn't know, actually, Halo Infinite, the multiplayer, is out right now, and I would highly suggest downloading that and playing that, but I digress. It's not about Halo, we're talking about Battlefield here. So they did iron out a lot of things in the beta. The beta had a lot of really bad glitchy issues, people falling through the floor in the elevator, tanks that were spawning, despawning. They had helicopters that were doing loop-de-loops on the floor whenever you shot them down. Just all sorts of issues and all sort of immersion-breaking glitches in the game. Also, Orbital is not a particularly great map. I don't know why they chose that one for the beta, but they did. And there's other maps on there that are a little bit better, and they seem to perform adequately, like they do their job. It could be better, but it's workable. It's workable. Like, your game is not going to crash a whole bunch like it did with the beta and with previous Battlefield titles. So stability-wise, it's not so bad. The game will run. It'll do what it needs to do. The real contention with it, though, or like the main changes that I've seen, is with the gunplay and with some of the vehicles. The helicopter, for instance, the scout helicopter, the Little Birds, they kind of got a nerf to their missiles, but the AA gun on them, the miniguns, didn't really catch a nerf, and the flying mechanic didn't catch a nerf either. So make no mistake, if you are a decent helicopter pilot in that game and you get behind the wheel of one of those, you are going to probably have a really good time, and you're going to make everyone else's life miserable. So if you're not a helicopter guy, learn how to fly the helicopter, because that is going to rack you up a bunch of kills. And I don't know if they're going to change that or what, but it did catch a nerf, but it's not enough to really make a dent. It's the same thing with the tanks. The tanks still pretty much do the same type of damage. They said that they nerfed the speed of them a little bit, but ultimately they feel exactly the same. And they didn't do anything to the jets at all. So if you're an excellent pilot and you can be able to control that jet, you can just drop dime bags on on anybody in a map. I was in a match on Orbital, actually. It was a all-out warfare 128 player map, and there was one guy who stayed up in a jet the entire time, and I think he dropped a big fat 50 or 60 kills throughout the entire course of the match, and he just stayed up there. So there really isn't a whole bunch of nerfs or changes that they made to the vehicles, with the exception of the Little Bird, and they said they nerfed the speed of the tank. Everything feels exactly the same, but on a lighter note, you're not going to fall through the map if you're in a tank, and you're not going to out of nowhere disappear in the sky if you're flying a helicopter or if you're flying a bird. So I guess that's nice. One thing that is disconcerting, though, with not only the weapons, or not only with the vehicles, but with the weapons, is the assault rifle. I usually run an assault rifle whenever I play Battlefield games. I snipe every once in a while, but that's kind of annoying, and that just promotes camping. I can't stand getting killed by snipers who just sit in like the very catty corner of a map and they just pick off people. That's not fun to me, and I think it's kind of lame. Honestly, if you play like that and you have fun with it, whatever. But I can't do that. I have ADHD, so I usually will run the assault rifle, and the assault rifle took a big old nerf. That is one thing that, and this is across not only All Out Warfare for 2042, but for the Portal mode as well. All the assault rifles have caught some sort of weird accuracy nerf. People are saying it's this thing called bloom effect, but essentially what bloom is whenever you aim down sight on the weapon, it doesn't actually shoot to where your front sight post and your rear sight post is lined up to. It kind of spreads out in a weird and random type of shot rotation. So you're not going to have a tight group. You're just going to have like shots all over the place. And maybe that was particularly emphasized on the assault rifles. I don't know what it is, but I feel like I'm hitting air a lot of times with the assault rifle. Not the SMGs so much. So the SMGs rocking this game. So if you're an infantry guy and you don't want to fly in a plane and you don't want to drive a Jeep or a tank or something like that, I would run an SMG. All the SMGs are pretty utilitarian. They can work in almost every single situation. So I'd rock one of them. So I would say the gunplay is not balanced. They need to do something with the assault rifle and with the snipers. Snipers are just snipers. They're pretty much the same. There is no bullet drop off in this game either. Used to be in games like Battlefield 4, even like Battlefield Hardline and Battlefield 5, you had to have some degree of talent to be a sniper if you're going to make these like 150-yard shots from like across the map. If you're going to map someone, you have to adjust for elevation, windage, all of these other things. That's completely gone in this game, so it is going to promote people sitting back and sniping, and I've noticed that quite a bit, especially in these big maps like Orbital. Orbital is one of them. And if you don't want to play that way, I would go with the SMG. The assault rifle caught a big fat nerf. And speaking of the maps too, other than Orbital wasn't so bad presentation wise. Most of these maps just like are soulless. They just are very uninspired. They're not anything to really look in awe at, which is surprising because most DICE games, one of the things that draws people into the game is the aesthetic. The aesthetic of the DICE games are always good. They always look good. They're always fine-tuned, and they're very environmentally appropriate to the time in which the game takes place, or the tone of the game. That's not really the case in this game. I understand that it's in the future, so you can kind of have a little bit of liberty with the creativity, but these are just completely uninspired. You can pretty much do anything that you want with 2042 time frame with that sort of era, because it's the future. You can just go guns crazy and put in a whole bunch of stuff, and they really didn't do that. It's a lot of washed out colors. It's a lot of drab. It's depressing. It's a depressing game to look at. It's just not anything fun. Even the map that is in the desert, I forgot what it's called, but like it has this like red tint to it with like the sand and everything. I know I'm just nitpicking at this point, but like it just felt very blah. It didn't feel like I was in battle. Like it felt like a completely foreign territory. Like it's not anything inspired like it was in Battlefield 5 or Battlefield 1 or any of these other places. It was just very meh. I had really no type of sense of immersion in it at all. It's just one of those feeling things though, and I guess to each their own with that, but for me, just didn't do it for me. So I know one of the other things that people are making a stink about and are saying is going to be the saving grace of this game is this Portal mode. I can tell you this right now from a guy who played Battlefield Bad Company 1, who played Bad Company 2, Battlefield 3, all of those games. This is not the saving grace of this game. I'm sorry. It would be different if we had all of the weapons that were available, if we had all the maps that were available, all the modes, all this stuff. I was playing a lot of servers that were supposed to be Norse Canal reimaginings that were going to be truthful to the subject matter of Battlefield 3, that was going to kind of feel like Battlefield 3, and it just made me want to play Battlefield 3, honestly. It didn't make me feel like this is just a remastered version of Battlefield 3. It felt foreign. It felt like it felt like modern day EA put on a Battlefield 3 costume and was parading around. and like remembered Battlefield 3 and was just a cheap imitation. It felt like Walmart brand Battlefield 3. It just made me want to play the real thing. It's the same thing with Bad Company 2. There's only 2 maps that are in there. They picked 2 good ones. Caspian Border and Norse Canal are some of the most iconic maps from that game. But there's only 2 of them. And there's only a select amount of weapons. We had a ton of weapons in Battlefield 3, and I understand that's going to take a whole lot of time and effort, and we're going to have to pay people in order to design the weapons. I understand they wanted to cut costs as much as possible, and this is not supposed to be the mainline game. It's supposed to be just like a nice little treat, but it just makes you want to play the full game. At least that's the way that I saw it. The game are just little morsels of what the game used to be. It just makes you want to pick up and play the old game. I would have rather have just had a remaster of Battlefield 3 or Bad Company 2. I don't really know about 1942. I never really played that one, but I do very much remember Bad Company 2 and Battlefield 3. And this is just missing a whole bunch of content out of it. And there might be someone who comes around, or like a group of people that come around and like make very fun servers in the rush mode or whatever else, and maybe I'll be eating my words 6-7 months from now, or even maybe a year from now, whenever they figure out the ins and outs of this portal mode, and they'll be able to make these really good servers that we're all going to enjoy. But for right now, it really just is it's an appetizer. It's not a main dish. I wouldn't even say that. I would say it's a side of French fries. It's not a number one. It's not anything that is worth buying the game over. It's just a nice little trip down memory lane, but it's not at all immersive. It's not at all, and it's complete. It leaves you hungry, essentially. It just makes you want to boot up Battlefield 3 and play it through the backwards compatibility feature on Xbox. That's what it made me want to do. I was not impressed with it at all. It's a nice little feature. I understand what they're going for, but a swing and a miss for me. And I hate to be so negative about this, but I really felt like I was trolled since the release trailer of Battlefield 2042, because this looked like the Battlefield that we wanted, something that's in the present time or the near future, and they were going to re-emerge Battlefield in a way that everyone wanted to see it, which is going to be reminiscent of Battlefield 4, and that's not at all what they delivered on this. It was a complete perversion of it. It was the antithesis with the specialist system and all this other crap. And one thing I was wrong about is the specialist system not being balanced. I mean, it is for the most part, with the exception of the riot shield guy. They kind of have problems with that. But it's just not Battlefield at the end of the day. It doesn't feel like Battlefield at all. The analogy that I was saying about how modern day EA was putting on a old school Battlefield skin and parading around like it was old school Battlefield, that's exactly how this game feels. It just feels like a husk of Battlefield. It doesn't have the same type of feeling. I'm not even going to talk about Hazard Zone because it's not worth talking about, and I'm not going to beat that dead horse. I've already seen a million reviews with people saying that it's boring. It's not like Escape from Tarkov. It's an afterthought. No one cares. It should have been a free-to-play mode, and I agree with all that stuff. I'm not going to beat a dead horse. But I will just say this about Hazard Zone. I said in my previous video that it was going to be something that EA is going to dump money into because they want it to be the next Warzone. Boy, was I wrong. Boy, was I wrong. This thing is not anywhere close to Warzone, and I don't like Battle Royale games pretty much at all. And this, I would rather play Warzone than Hazard Zone. There's nothing fun about this mode. It's very generic. It's supposed to be like the whole appeal. Like, I get the appeal for Battle Royale games. It's supposed to be something that gets your heart pumping. It's supposed to be something exciting. Whenever you actually win a victory royale or whatever they call it, you're triumphing over like 120 people or 150 people or what have you, which means that there are a lot of close calls throughout the match. That's what makes it exciting, and that's what people tune in for on Twitch with Dr. Disrespect and all these other guys. But that factor is not here. It's just boring. It's a boring mode. It's a nice little side diversion from the main game, but it's, again, not anything worth paying $60 for. If it was a free mode, then it still wouldn't be good, but it would at least give people a taste of what Battlefield 2042 has to offer. So all in all, I'd say save your money, kids. Don't buy this game. Don't buy it whenever the quote-unquote full release is coming out on Friday. and wait for them to fix all of these problems. I'd say wait for about a year because you can get the game for probably cheap and they will iron out all these issues. Hopefully they'll do some rebalancing and maybe they'll do something with Portal and maybe they'll do something with Hazard Zone to make it interesting. But for right now, nah, it's not there. This is Off the Cuff here. Appreciate you guys tuning in and God bless you.